live. It is Friday already, August the 7th. Larry's with us. His PayPal account is up. We have had people in the past who are, actually all through the last 4 years that I've been working with Larry, there have been people claiming that he's not as sick as he is and that he's been lying about what he said. There's somebody in particular from back then that, spread that kind of rumor, but people pick it up and think it's true and it's not. So he wanted to give you a little more of an update. I mean, I learned something from him a few minutes ago when we were getting ready to start the show that, I learned more than I didn't know. I mean, I certainly couldn't tell you if I didn't know. So I didn't know a lot of what he told me. So go ahead, Larry.
All right. Thanks, Mary Ellen. I think it's important for y'all to know I spent about 3 months in a coma. And originally what caused some of this to flare up was I fell, broke my hip, but that became secondary to some of the other problems. My kidneys had failed completely. I was septic, had a hole in my colon, and of course it was leaking bile all through my system. They had to take my gallbladder, had to take it out. They had to, my liver was diseased and shot, and I had pneumonia in both lungs, and I had an ulcer on my esophagus, and generally had an ulcerated throat. And they didn't give my wife and daughter much hope. 3 different times they told them to get their affairs together, wouldn't make it through the night. But I did. And then when I came out of that phase of it, they immediately tried to put me into rehabilitation because I had developed atrophy throughout my entire system. I couldn't pick up a Coke can. But when we were doing that, they decided it's time to go in and fix the original problem, which was the hip. They go in, they do surgery on the hip, fix it, send me back down to rehab. I fell in rehab, broke it again. This is all within 1 week, 2 surgeries. But then I went to they sent me to another hospital because, anyway, to rehab. I did that. And then right when I was finally going to get to go home after 5 or 6 months, I was finally for the first time getting to go home. And I fell, and it was my fault. And I shattered the hip and shattered my, whatever that big bone is that runs from
the femur
going to your knee, femur, yes. And folks, I knew what I wanted to say, but I couldn't talk. I couldn't even talk. So today, I'm weakened still. I'm trying to get back, but I'm in constant therapy, both physical and occupational therapy, trying to get me to live through this ordeal. And at the same time, I want you to understand that it's not necessarily good for me to be talking that much. So if I have to go, it's just not fair to y'all to not understand. If I have to go, that means I've reached that point to where I just can't go any further because I feel that I'm damaging my system. So please forgive me for being in the shape I'm in. But thank you all for your prayers, because it was truly, as my wife said, if anybody doesn't believe in the power of prayer, they need to look at me. I believe in the power of prayer, and I thank you all for praying to get me through it. When I'm through it, I've just pressing issues of the day. Twice today, I have been asked about something President Trump did, I guess yesterday, was it?
Yes, yesterday afternoon.
Yesterday afternoon, he made a speech or was talking. And he said this, maybe, I'm like, what did he say, Helen? I need to.
He said, I have so many enemies, I'm not going to be seen for a while.
All right, folks. That's what he said, and some of you are probably panic as one of the callers today. Let me do my best to explain that as best as I can. Number one, he is building up a list of enemies because you think of what he's doing to some of these major corporations. Now, he's forcing the major corporations to bring their businesses back here. When they bring them back here, they don't make the kind of money they did with China making their product. So yeah, they're mad. He's got the drug people, drug lords, mad as heck. He's got Big Pharma mad. So yeah, he's made it. And then of course he's got the Democratic Party people all mad. So he built quite a list of people that don't want him around. Today, they probably have used normally be a 1 mile perimeter around where the president's speaking, any president. With Trump, I would imagine they're running a perimeter of 2 miles.
You're talking about at inside rallies?
I'm talking about if he's speaking outside.
Outside.
Now, the problem with that is, with technology the way it is today, 3 miles away with a 50 caliber special round with a video scope system, someone could sit out there and blow his head off. So there is a security problem for him to speak in the open air.
We have somebody. Hey, Larry, we've got somebody here from New Zealand. Welcome, Kim.
Yeah. Then for him to speak indoors. You know, when Trump planned his campaign this time, a big major part of it was certainly to go into the flyover states, the states like Michigan, Detroit, Ohio, etc., and have these big rallies and fire people up. Well, the problem with him getting 20,000 people in an arena is this virus. He can't do it. He cannot be saying to all of us, don't y'all gather, don't get more than 10 people in a place and not wear masks. It's almost impossible for him to have an indoor arena affair when he's asking us not to get together. So I tell you these two things, so there are two very logical reasons why he said what he did. But the main thing he did not want us to believe, he didn't want us to believe that the fact that he's not going to be as visible to us as he planned, as we planned. It's not a sign of him backing down. It's not a sign of him being afraid of Biden or the Democrats. It's not that at all. I have given you two examples of why that would occur. So I hope you understand. President Trump was not saying that he's made all these enemies, and so they're going to kill him, so he's going to back off. Let me assure you, if they were going to kill him, they could kill him without ever going to a rally. But they have tightened up security for President Trump, and it will stay that way during this election. Now, if he wins, I will tell you this, as I have told y'all for months. If President Trump wins this election, the only thing the socialists can do is stop him from literally stopping the spread of socialism in this country. Will be to kill him. So if he wins, he's not out of the woods. He will need our work and certainly our prayers. So I hope that helps you to understand. Now, another thing I've heard about the bombs in China and all these different places, and people were panicking. Don't panic. What about the bomb in Beirut, folks? Originally, I was told it was a stockpile of missiles. Well, it wasn't. It was full of ammonia nitrate. And ammonia nitrate, as we saw with the Burr building, is extremely volatile. And it just blew the lid off everything. And as much ammonia nitrate that was in there, there is no doubt that it would have caused major death and injury. But it was not a tactical nuke. There was a ship, supposedly, that's being touted on the internet that was coming into the port there that had supposedly weapons for whomever. Folks, that's not going to happen, because if somebody knew that a ship coming in from Beirut was loaded with weapons for Hezbollah, long before it ever got near Beirut in the ocean, either Israeli or American coastal guards would have stopped it, boarded it, frisked it, and if they found anything, they would shut it down. So I want y'all to know the reality of all of this stuff. I know it sounds convincing. I know what you see on the internet sounds true, sounds logical to you. But I beg you, at this hour that we're in right now, with this election as close as I'm telling you it is, we need sober thinking. We need common sense thinking. And we need to work to get our president reelected. Now, with that little opening stuff, Mary Ellen, tell me this. Was there another thing I should have talked about that I didn't?
Somebody is saying here, still talking about Beirut, taking down Hezbollah stockpiles, assignment of the main figurehead that was inspecting the storage facility. Person can't think of his name. Do you know anything about that?
No, I do not. But I do not believe now that it was a weapons stockpile.
There was somebody that said, the storm is upon us. Trump is on Air Force One and will be in the air until things cool down. When I heard that, I chuckled just like you did, Larry. So that's your answer, James.
Well, let me tell you, if it was a stockpile of like missiles and all types of different military weapons with high explosives, when it went off, folks, the signature would have been, you would see a bomb going off, and then you'd see secondary and third and fourth explosions based off the ordnance that was in the building when it went off. It wouldn't have all gone at one time. So just know that.
Well, there actually were 3 different explosions that happened, and one of them put up a very brown cloud, which I think is typical with the ammonium nitrate, isn't it?
Well, yes. I mean, that it's not the cloud formation and the color of the quote-unquote cloud has more to do, Mary Ellen, with the areas. So if it was in an area where there's sand or dirt or greenery, that affects it. So anyway, we can go on till ad nauseam. I'm telling you, that was not what we were led to believe in the beginning.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question, and then there is something else you wanted to talk about. So any thoughts on the Attorney General of New York filing charges to shut down the NRA?
No, it's just another maneuver to try to shut us down. That's what that is. Now they're going after the head of the NRA, whatever his name is, because of his elaborate spending. Maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. But I'll say this, just so you know, unless there is a specific thing in his contract agreement limiting what he can pay for air travel, hotels, dinners, or whatever, unless it is specifically stated with limits. The man could spend $1 million an hour on a jet, and although that's morally wrong, there's nothing that the prosecutor of New York can go against him with. Now, if he's embezzling money, that's different. But folks, they want to shut us down. They want to shut every aspect of our life down. And that's what they've set out to do. And the NRA is just another organization of ours that we can communicate with to mass numbers. You know, the way they see the NRA is about 2 or 3 million voters that if they can have an open line to talk to them, then they need to shut it down, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, well, they've been trying to do that for a year or two already anyway. This is just
Yes.
another... Okay, before any more questions come in, we were going to talk about why Antifa is going to Democrat cities, not Republican ones.
Yes, thank you. Guys, if Antifa and those people were to go to a city controlled by Republicans, and they first started their little junk, they would be shut down almost immediately. But if they go to a Democratic-controlled city, now everything they can do to help them. And by that, what I mean, remember what we've always known, all of us. If you tell people the same thing over and over and over, time and time again, as many times as you can, eventually it becomes true. So what they're doing, they're going into these cities. They're able to pull off a bigger show in these cities than they'd be able to do in a Republican city. And over again, they're talking about how the black people are being oppressed, how they're being shot, killed, etc. And then the scene that they're causing shown is these police, Mino police, and the jackbooted military going in and hitting them with tear gas and all these explosions. It's all designed to make the black community believe what they're saying. And if the black community is allowed to see this happen time and time again, they can come to believe it. Even in light of the fact that since President Trump's been president, the black community has benefited more than any other president in history. But unless somebody is there to remind them day by day by day that that is true, then you look, they're going to see all of this junk with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And when they see it over and over and over again, folks, eventually, you know what, they'll start to believe it. And they're hoping to use these tricks, these mass merchandising tricks, on the black population so that the forecast 20 to 30% of the black voters will vote for Trump. They're trying to make a dent in that. So there. Now you know. Hello.
Yeah, I'm reading a chat here. Gloria suggests that the DNC will not endorse Hillary even though she bailed them out. They're guessing who might be the vice president. Karen says that Antifa showed up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That's the city that I was trying to tell you. I'd forgotten where it was, where they pretty much were run out of town. Let's see. And somebody's asking about if the Democrats are looking for a candidate for president once Biden resigns, someone who doesn't have to run or debate. Rush suggested that could be Hillary.
Well, that might be true. I mean, I can't speak to something I can't prove. So maybe that is true. I don't know. But remember what I told you. The way they will do this campaign is what? Number one, they're going to crash Trump's stronghold. What was that? The effect he's had on the economy. But they were served up a gift with this virus, which makes me wonder, since there's always been this cozy relationship between Democratic presidents, the Democrats with China, etc., that to me it makes sense that China released this biological bug on us and the rest of the world to get back at Trump for all he has cost them, and did it at the same time the Democrats could use it to help defeat him in the election. Well, when he took the country into a total lockdown for a period of time, there goes the economy. Now, the stock market is still maintaining some of its growth pattern after the major fall. But I assure you, they're going to hit the market right before the election and make it collapse or make it go way down. So it's everything that I told you. It's here. It's here for everybody to see. Now you don't have to go talk to people and tell them I said it, and then have to spend 2 hours telling who I am and why they might in order to believe what I've said. It's in front of you now. And I told y'all back then, when they get through doing the things to trick this election, when they crash the economy, when they create all these diversions, such as the virus, the economy, guess what? When you do that, Trump gets beat. And it doesn't matter if this doesn't ring a bell to some of you. I said the Democrats, it won't matter if Humpty Dumpty's running for president. They don't care who is running for president. They know that 20% of Trump's voters in 2016, 20% of those voters voted for President Trump because they hated Hillary. Now, what they're trying to do is get as many of those people that voted for Trump because they hated Hillary to vote against Trump because they hate him because of the way they have portrayed him in the mainstream media day after day after day. Now you understand why they catch him telling lies or say he's lying, when in fact, maybe he is or he isn't. But I'm just telling you, they're doing it to beat Trump. And if they can get a goodly percentage, of those people to drop off from Trump, Trump's got real problems. And if he does, we do. Folks, you're seeing socialism in its beginning stage. You are. That's what this is. And anybody that thinks otherwise is a fool. This is what you're seeing. Tell people and stop it. All right, what else?
Will anybody in Congress get arrested?
No. Why? Because they can't be arrested. They cannot be arrested. Congress is judged by the Ethics Committee in both the House and the Senate. Now, if the Ethics Committee kicks a congressman out, yes, he can be prosecuted. But while he is a sitting member of Congress, no, they can't be.
Somebody asked if you think Trump will win. You have said many times that his win is really on the line, and it depends on whether we can get enough people to join us in voting for him.
Well, it all all boils down to what I was telling y'all over and over again months ago. When everybody was saying it's a shoo-in, Trump wins this election without any trouble, good heavens, you can't even think about the possibility he would be beaten. Well, I told you it wouldn't stay that way. Now you see. Now, the virus, who knows? But I can tell you this, it makes it hard for a lot of people to get re-elect Trump. And one of the reasons is, by the way, the mainstream media and the media period, puts out the information on this virus. For example, you'll notice, like, let's say in Florida, gosh, we had a huge amount of people, 10,000 people have the virus. Now, the reason the numbers are going up on the people that have the virus is because we're testing more people than ever. You get it?
And
so just because somebody tests positive for the virus, they may have it and never have to suffer for any of the symptoms. That goes on every day, and probably more people tested and having the virus get through it without any symptoms than are the people that have the virus and actually come down sick and have to go to the hospital. And certainly the number of people that have died from it is minuscule.
okay.
Now, if it's some family member of yours, I mean, yes, every life's precious, but I'm just saying, mathematically, the number of deaths would typically be considered, low.
Well, when 99.4% recover, it puts even though it's a bioweapon, it still puts its deadliness in perspective when so many recover.
But you don't hear about that in the mainstream media. All you hear about is 10,000 today have the virus in Florida. And then they may say, Florida's death thing is 430. But what the average citizen gets when they see the reports from the mainstream media about the number of people that have contracted the virus, the main thing people see is, oh my God, 10,000 people are going to die because they got the virus.
Right. And the governors will give a report on how many have tested positive, how many have been hospitalized, how many have died, but they say nothing about the people who are recovered and not showing symptoms. And, this isn't,
right.
So it's a little ridiculous.
Well, that's why, folks, I'm telling you, President Trump seems to be playing that, what they say is he's given up. He hasn't given up. He's just trying to make sense of a situation. Then when you take, like old Fauci, or however you pronounce that guy's name that was with him in the beginning, but now he's not. Trump has had that problem since day one. Some of his appointed people, when they got inside of his organization, they didn't do that much to help him. Some, as a matter of fact, tried to hurt him. Well, Trump, I believe, figured out that some of the stuff Fauci was saying wasn't right. So, consequently, Fauci's not in there, and Trump's rolling on, trying to stop it as best he can. What else?
Okay, I appreciate what Big Brother, he says Big Brother is violating the Constitution. So he's wondering why we're not having fireside chats like FDR did, and he's what can Trump do to win, and shouldn't he be live streaming and having these chats with the people directly through the internet?
Well, all right, here's what's going to happen. Fireside chat. You've already seen, I think, all of you, that the major networks, ABC, NBC, and CBS, they wouldn't carry it. Just like they audience. And to some extent, so too is Fox. You know, Fox no longer carries the entire rally. They just carry a little bit. And part of the reason for that with Fox is in a campaign, as a president goes from one community to another, one state to another, basically they say the same speech. So after Fox has given its audience the full speech, as Trump tells it, then they really don't necessarily carry it from beginning to end every time he does speak. But they do go in and look and see if there's any new things that Trump may have said that they feel like they need to get out. So that's true. But number one, fireside chat, the media, TV, the media's not going to cover it. Number two, you're seeing now where, for example, if he just wanted to go on the internet and have a fireside talk and even take questions from the people, etc. Well, you see now that the platforms will shut him down. I told y'all the media was going to clamp down and shut down. Well, they've already started censoring Trump and what he says, and anybody that passes on what he has said. They're already starting that. But I guarantee you, sometime soon, they're going to take those platforms and just totally shut down, allowing Trump to talk to us or us to talk to each other and try to fire people up to get them out to vote.
Well, that's one reason he's on Twitter as often as he is with his little tweets.
Well, they're going to shut him down on Twitter.
Well, they've already shut down some of his campaign people and blocked them now. And Tamara's asking, can anything be done about the mainstream media?
No. The only thing that could be done, we can't do it. And I don't even think it would work anymore. The thing that would ordinarily be done that could affect the mainstream media is to go after the sponsors. You know, if you go after the sponsors and tell them if they keep running this and this, we'll not buy your product, and then you organize a big movement and everybody hits it once, and the sponsor backs out of its contract with the network, and then you do another corporate sponsor, another. But the problem today is we can't even do that because these networks are funded by corporations like Disney, etc. So these corporations are so invested in defeating Trump and getting things back to the way they used to be, but you see, it's not going to be the way it used to be. That's just what they're telling. It's not going to be the way it used to be. They're facilitating a socialist nation. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But we can't even lobby against their sponsors because they don't care if the sponsors buy ads or not. I mean, it helps Disney or whatever the corporation is that's funding it. Of course, they want as much funding as they can get, but you're not going to stop it.
Gloria suggests reversing the Smith-Mundt Act revised by Obama to allow media and government propaganda.
That might work. I'm not sure of the. Anyway, that might work. I'd have to look into that. It's a good idea, but I need to see what's there because I've forgotten.
Big CEOs have been fired. Why hasn't that had more of a change on mainstream media?
Say what?
If big CEOs have been fired, why hasn't that, allowed a little more freedom with mainstream media?
Don't know.
Pompeo mentioned the clean net cloud for the internet. Have you heard anything about it?
No, have not. Folks, remember, practically for 6 months of this year, I've been out, gone. I have been gone. So I apologize. There's some things that are going on now that I don't know about. Number one. Number two, as Mary Ellen knows, my memory has been affected. Now, I thought maybe I was coming down with whatever disease that makes you go, you can't remember anything and you just die. But I'm assured that it's not. It's just the fact that I was so sick that it's had a temporary, they call it temporary effect on my memory. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm not as sharp memory-wise as I would hope I could be for y'all.
I'm watching it come back, Larry. I can see the difference. It is. So just to encourage you on that. Two other questions. Is it possible for Trump to set up his own network?
Not in time to save us in this election. To set up his own network would take years. Not 90 days to get up.
Okay. Is martial law coming? And I've heard other people say that we're already under it.
Martial law is not coming yet. Once he's defeated, yes, it will come. Well, you say, how can it come once he's defeated? Well, obviously, the military cannot be used inside the United States. Can be. But you see, after Trump is defeated, our entire Constitution will be gone. So there will be nothing that prohibits the military from being used in that way. Now, I can tell you from what is planned, they're not planning to use our military in the first place. They're planning to use a global force, which is stationed right now in Cuba. What else?
Can't Trump do an executive order on mainstream media? I know we've discussed that in the past, but
sorry about Rosie, but I can't get up to move somewhere else to keep her from barking in my ear. I'm so sorry. Rosie, baby. Can what?
Can Trump do an executive order to deal with the mainstream media?
No, he cannot.
Because they're private companies, right?
They're private entities, and once again, today we are bound by the Constitution. After the election, if he loses, there will be no Constitution binding anything. So there will be nothing that will be able to come out against any government that exists. What else? Anything? Forgive me, I'm sorry, y'all, but like Rosie's barking, somebody came to the best company door, carries out talking to him because he cannot come in. Rosie's barking at him, but guys, I can't walk, so I can't get up to go away.
Yeah.
Is there any other question that I can take that I'm have to get off because I can't compete with her barking?
Yeah. Can the emergency broadcast system be done for fireside chats?
Say what now?
Can the emergency system be used for fireside chats?
No. It could be, but it won't be because Congress will shut it down. And plus, it can't be used. What am I saying? It can't be used because the broadcast network, like the whatever you call it, can't be used because it can't be used for a campaign tool for either candidate.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm just going to get off. I'm so sorry. But I hope to see you Monday. Bring people Monday because I will have something that we can do next week to help solve, or at least help us do our part to help him win. Mary Ellen,
all right, I got it.
Please take it over, and
sure
then
thing.
don't forget to ask people to send it.
Okay.
Even though I'm not having to raise the kind of money
I got
I
it.
still have huge medical stuff, medicine.
Sure thing.
All right.
Okay.
All right, bye, y'all.
Bye, Larry. Thank you. Okay. Two things. Larry's PayPal account is here on the screen. NicholsLive@AOL.com. That money gets to him within a minute or two. Larry knows Dr. Corsi, and Dr. Corsi was not nice to Larry. Let me just say that and just leave it there. So follow up on that at this point, given their history, is not likely because of what Corsi did. Larry's bills, folks, used to be, as of last year and the 2 to 3 years prior to that, his daily bills were $1,000 to $2,500 a day. One of the things that caused a problem for Larry in January, for example, with the double pneumonia and so on, was our team folks ran out of funds by the end of January this year, and we just could not put together what Larry needed. Now, with all the stuff, Medicaid covered his bills in the hospital and rehab. Thank God that he's so poor that Medicaid stepped in to help. But now that he's home, I'm sorry, somebody said they were really having a hard time understanding Larry. His voice is very scratchy. Some of that is because of all the ulcers he had in his throat. The fact that his body shut down almost completely with double pneumonia when he already has lost a third of one of his lungs from a drive-by shooting. And, what he has dealt with medically is pretty horrendous. The fact, thank you guys for who was praying besides me. I just am so grateful for any of you who have told me that you were praying for him, and I pass that on. And I want to also, while I'm saying thank you, those of you who have been staying in touch with me through this tough week, I just want to say publicly thank you to those people: Sandy, Karen, Chris, Mike. There are a few people who've just been keeping an eye, Cindy, on how I'm doing. And I really do appreciate that. I don't have much time to talk because I've been so busy with family. But we did have a bigger number today than we've had since he was back. So the numbers are growing back again, and that's awesome. Please let people know that he's here. Give the thumbs up here on the video because that will help YouTube to promote us a little more. Make sure you're subscribed. Share the video so people know. But given the fact that his bills used to be $1,000 to $2,500 a day, you can imagine those of us that were footing that ran out of funds. And so we don't have another huge donor. We've had people who've donated $5,000, $20,000, $30,000. We've had people who've donated $1.50, $5, and no more. I'm not doing the conference calls anymore right now, James. People have done what they can, and we know there's been a big spread. We have very few people who are independently doing well financially. Most of us are elderly people who are on Social Security, and that doesn't give you money to do much more than $5 or $10. But if 100 people are giving $5, we can make up the 500. So the fact that we used to be doing 1,000 or more a day, and now he's asking for 250, 300 every few days, that's a huge difference. So his voice is coming back little by little, but remember, he's had tubes down his throat for months at a time, And so the fact that he still has any voice at all, and he's had to learn how to talk again, he's had to learn how to use his hands again, he's had to learn how to walk again. Um, I mean, to hear that his kidneys completely shut down and his liver has just been so badly diseased, and he never he the liver he it's not because of alcohol, it's probably because of the amount of medication he's had to take to stay alive. And back in the days when things were very, very expensive, I know we had people who were complaining that Larry didn't need the money he had because he was in experimental treatments, with experimental medications that they were testing. Even if a drug company was, there was a certain amount that was free. Sometimes the medication was free. Sometimes it was only at a discount for him to be in the trial. And then they had this long list of things, treatments that he had to get that were outside of the protocol that the pharmaceutical company provided. And so the bills for all that extra stuff was huge. So we have to keep supporting him and to keep him going. Now, Tamara, if you're still with us, let me know, because you were asking about what we discussed at the very beginning. Oh, that was the fact that Trump said that he won't be seen for a while because of his enemies. He was planning, the Trump campaign had planned to let Trump do all these incredible rallies, and they were counting on that to get out the vote. He can't have the indoor rallies and then tell people to maintain social distance and wear a mask. You just can't do that because you got too many people packed in like sardines, and you just can't do it. The other thing was, if he has a rally or something outside, like he did when he spoke at the Cleveland airport yesterday, the danger is most people have for a speaker, outside speaker, have a 1 mile perimeter of security. Trump has a 2 mile perimeter, but a 50 millimeter, I think that's what he said. It was a 50 something weapon, 50 caliber weapon with a video scope can still blow his head off at 3 miles out. And they don't go out that far. That's an awful lot to do. Golden State Times carrying Trump chats. I know that they are looking into where they can get him more on the air besides Fox and Friends in the morning and Sean Hannity in the evening. They are looking. And I agree, guys. I will mention Golden State Times to Larry. I mean, Trump should know that. I mean, even Diamond and Silk doing things. They broadcast, but of course they're broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. And so if you're going through, and Golden State Times goes through Facebook. So all these social media platforms are trying to shut all of us down. So, and folks, thanks, Rhonda, for what you're saying here about the money for Larry's meds. Remember, folks, we are not saying you have to give if you can't afford it. Of course, you have to take care of your needs. You have to. If you cannot give, you can pray it in. Do you realize the power of prayer that we have? I mean, I wanted to adopt 5 more kids after the 5 I had, and I couldn't. So I prayed and asked the Lord to let me come into proximity with people who were adopting. And I was praying these kids in. Folks, God didn't just give me 5, God gave me 7. And now I found out yesterday, about another one. This is something that prayer can do, okay? So you ask the Lord to lay on somebody's heart to bring in what you want to do, but you cannot. And cannot is a reality for most of us. I mean, I'm having to do that myself now. I just can't do more. So, as for Larry's mind, he said, "Did you ever sell your house?" It's like, Larry, that's the whole reason I moved. Yes, I did. So, anyhow, he's forgetful. It is coming back. I am seeing things that he is remembering. that he didn't remember 2 weeks ago. It is coming back. So, his wife will hopefully help him, retain things that he's supposed to know. I do not know, Big Brother, if Trump goes on with One American News. He might. That is another platform that would be good for him to do. Larry's website is Nichols Live, just like the PayPal account. The PayPal account is nicholslive at AOL.com. The website is nicholslive.com. The other thing you can do, grabbing mechanic. Sorry, I just can't talk today, I guess. I'm putting up my text phone. Send a text to this phone number and tell me you want the book. The books are at my house, not here because I'm at Dad's house or Mom's house now. My sister's house actually. But I'll be home this weekend. So send me a text and I've got a couple of people that I've got to get books to. And I actually brought a few that I was going to mail this since I've been here, and it's just been way too busy. So we'll get caught up with that. That's a priority for me when I get home. So go to this text. If you cannot donate through PayPal and you want to do something, send me a text. I have several other ways we should be able to do something. So we've done several other possibilities with lots of different people. So I get creative. We find ways to go around making sure it happens. So that's it for today, folks. Thanks for being here. I'd appreciate prayer for a safe trip home. It's a long, long way to go. So I am not going through New Mexico again. I just don't want to get stopped and thrown in a hotel for 2 weeks like they kept threatening on the road. So there are plenty of ways to go a little further east before I head down to Texas or whatever way I end up deciding to do something different. But I'm not going to go all the way through New Mexico. I'm going to cut that part off. So anyhow, thanks about the OAN. I will suggest OAN and Golden State and see what can be done. Of course, these things are, these platforms are still small. And we don't just want to get the people we know already are going to vote for Trump. We're trying to get the wider audience. We really do need to hang on to the black vote that seems to be going Trump's way, that the Democrats are doing so much and the media is doing so much to try and, take back from Trump. We need to get the Hispanics and other immigrants to come on board and recognize how much Trump has done for them. The problem is the media is full of lies and lies and lies and lies and lies. And remember, Hitler said, if you tell a lie big enough, long enough, often enough, people will believe it eventually because that's all they hear. So pray against what the lies that the media are saying, that'll be stopped. I mean, God could shut them up one way or another. So that's it. I've yammered on enough. Thanks for your help for Larry. God bless you all. And just know that I have taken not one penny from the book, even though I paid for the printing twice. And I just know Larry needs the money. And so every penny that we get from selling the book goes to Larry. So just so you know that. All right, guys, that's it for now. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. And we'll talk Monday. Bye.